Karate friends, welcome to Classics in Color. My name is Mark Graves. I put out a video every Sunday, so please subscribe if you'd like to be notified of that. Today I'm going to be discussing one of the most interesting home remedies in Rome. So in 220 BC, Archagathus was one of the first Greek doctors who came from Greece to Rome and tried to set up a practice. And at first the Romans were quite intrigued and they gave him a shot, but it didn't take long for his welcome to wear thin because one of his main methods was surgery. So he was cutting people open quite a bit, and the Romans found this very barbaric and they gave him the nickname of the Butcher. And it took a while after this for Greek medicine to really gain traction in Rome. Meanwhile, the Romans' staple for healing was basically home remedies, particularly food-based remedies. So today we're going to be looking at one of those. So basically today I'm going to be talking about Cato the Elder, who lived about this time as well, 230-ish BC. So he was considered by many to be a quintessential Roman. He owned farmland that he managed, and he also worked as a statesman, and he was also a very grumpy old man. And he was famous for sort of telling other people off that they weren't Roman enough and they weren't following traditional Roman values. He was that guy in ancient Rome. And basically he wrote a book called De Agricultura, which means basically about agriculture, about taking care of a farm. And on the surface it sounds like a farming manual, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Basically, a Roman statesman was expected to not just be a politician, not just to be good at giving speeches, but ideally, according to traditional, ideal Roman values, he would also be a farmer. He would own land and he would manage that. And to some extent that makes sense, because it's not just that you're farming it, but you're managing your whole household. So all these animals and servants and family members, you're managing all of that. So it is in some ways a sort of good microcosm for managing Rome, that you can do both small and large scale. And many of the skills that you would have as a farmer were considered important in other realms as well. For instance, being a good healer was considered essential to being a good farmer. And interestingly enough, being a good healer was also a good indicator that you would be a good leader. Now, many of you probably know the Lord of the Rings. Aragorn is a healer. He knows about herbs and he knows how to heal people. And if you're a nerd like me, you've read the books or you've watched the extended edition and you've seen him work in the Houses of Healing in Gondor, and it's a big indicator that he really is the king, that he knows so much about healing and that he knows about these herbs that no one else knows about. So Tolkien knew about this, and he incorporated in Lord of the Rings that a healer is also a leader or a king. So Cato knows about this, and so he includes all these instructions about how to cure different problems with your animals or with your servants, because if you're good at curing animals, servants, curing plague and disease in your farm, then theoretically you will also be good at dealing with not just plague in a city or in a country, but healing is about bringing balance and solving problems. So if you can heal problems on the micro level, you can heal them on the macro level. And often things like civil unrest are considered a sort of plague. So if you're a good healer, you're going to be able to deal with that better, basically. So Cabbage was Cato the Elder's cure-all. He was obsessed with it, perhaps because it's something that you grow on the farm, so already it's associated with simplicity, with farming, with naturalness, I guess, almost like we would think of as organic. It just feels better, and also it's a food remedy. And I mentioned earlier that the Romans really like food remedies. That feels like a good way to go for them. So Cato the Elder says of Pythagoras' cabbage, what virtue and health-giving qualities it has. The several varieties of cabbage and the quality of each should first be known. It has all the virtues necessary for health. All the virtues necessary for health. So Cato is really obsessed with this little plant, and I'm going to read you a little bit more of what he wrote, because how better can I convey to you how much this man loved cabbage? But if you macerate cabbage, it will cure all such sores. It is the best remedy for sores of this kind. Dislocations will be healed quickly if they are bathed twice a day in warm water and a cabbage poultice is applied. If applied twice a day, the treatment will relieve the pain. A contusion will burst, and when bruised cabbage is applied, it will heal. An ulcer on the breast and a cancer can be healed by the application of macerated cabbage. So there you have it. Cancer is solved. All you need is cabbage. And honestly, it goes on like this for pages and pages and pages. I had a hard time picking which quote to read to you because it just goes on like this for forever. But it gets better. I have one more quote that we can't skip. And still further, if you save the urine of a person who eats cabbage habitually, eat it, and bathe the patient in it, he will be healed quickly. This remedy has been tested. Well, can't argue with that. Also, if babies are bathed in this urine, they will never be weakly. Those whose eyes are not very clear will see better if they are bathed in this urine, and pain in the head or neck will be relieved if the heated urine is applied, yada yada yada. So the best thing that you can do for your infant, apparently, is bathe them in urine of a cabbage eater. So there you have it from Cato the Elder, one of the wackier home remedies in the Roman repertoire, but I guess it probably didn't do any harm, at least, so that's something. So that is Cato the Elder's wonder drug. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for checking it out. This was Mark Graves with Classics in Color. Thank you to those who are subscribed, and like I said earlier, subscribe if you'd like to be notified of next week's video. Karate.